constructive nature of what they're doing for the play. So first I want to talk to you about the consensus method and where it comes from. The consensus was first used by the people, the people on the board, the Haudenosaunee. The Haudenosaunee are a native group of people. They're called the Iroquois Nation. There are 6 different tribes in the Iroquois Nation. And these 6 different tribes have been historically fighting against each other. And they decided about 800 years ago to get together and to form a confederacy of the 6 nations. Actually, 5 of them at that point, and the 6th nation came in around the 19th century. But these nations got together and said, you know, this fighting is crazy. We don't want to be fighting. We don't want to be dying. We don't want to be killing each other. We want to be living in peace. So they had a great peacemaker that came to them with an idea on how to do that. And that became the very, very first participatory democracy in the world. Before that, Greece had a democracy, a different type of democracy. But this was the first what's called participatory democracy, where everybody participates in the democracy. And it was done through consensus. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Iroquois Nation, the Haudenosaunee. Haudenosaunee means people building a longhouse, and the longhouse was the type of house that people lived in. And literally, it was a very long house, and many groups of people lived in it, many families lived in it. Another word we use is the Iroquois Nation. That is a French word, and another term we use are the 6 nations. However, that's an English word, but the Haudenosaunee is the name that the native people gave to the confederacy of the 6 nations. This is a group of indigenous people. We've studied indigenous people before, and they lived up in the United States, up in New York City, where I live in Boston. It's a little bit further north from there. I can show you on a map, but we'll do that a little bit later. They established this thing called the Great Law of Peace, and it's pretty cool because in this Great Law of Peace, they had 3 principles. One of them was peace. One of them was unity, all getting together and treating each other fairly and equally. And the other one was that if good minds work together on issues that affect everyone, life is going to be better. So they established this Great Law of Peace based on these 3 principles. They had a symbol. It might be something really cool for our play to have a symbol. Their symbol was a tree, which is pretty cool because in our play the tree is very important. They called their tree the tree of peace, and it had 4 roots to it: one for the north, one for the south, one for the east, one for the west. So we might think about having a symbol as well for the bird symbol. Maybe we'll choose a tree, maybe we'll choose something else. One of the most interesting parts of this, and this is something we could actually put into the dialogue of the play, they had something called the 7 generations philosophy. The 7 generations meant that whenever the Iroquois Nation or the Haudenosaunee made a decision, they made that decision based on what would be best into the future for 7 generations. And when the birds get together in the play, they look ahead at what's going to happen in the future. They're talking about warning the humans. So the Haudenosaunee people had that in mind. We're talking 800 years ago, that they knew that things that would affect 7 generations into the future, that's how decisions ought to be made. Now, if we looked at decisions being made today in various countries, whether it's the United States or New Zealand or any place around the world, we wonder, looking at that, is that going to be a good decision for 7 generations into the future? And that's a long time. So it's a lesson that really would apply to this play very well, but it's also something to consider when people are making decisions. Is that a good decision? Will that be a positive decision for 7 generations into the future? What we're going to do today is we're going to look at the play, and we're going to look at it the way it is right now, and then we're going to be changing it, because we're going to have an activity where there are 2 things that we're going to do. We're going to look at voting, which is one process consensus, which is a different process of decision-making. Both of them are democratic decision-making processes, but they're different. And so we'll check it out. On page 35, if we could start with bird person. Robert, where are you? Okay. Bird person, this is C9. This is the end of C9, and C10 will just begin right after your little speech. Go ahead, Robert.
The whole plane one.
At the very bottom, long ago.
Long ago, humans roamed over the birds became fearful that their two lizard neighbors had become a little too overprotective. In fact, the humans were on the verge of destroying themselves, and all life was dead. So we
Representative
of the bird tribes gathered to seek a solution. My friends, the boxers, were the